Jimmy, let's move on to Mexico versus Costa Rica. You know, we talked about Costa Rica, Panama being the game of the last match day. Now you've got Mexico versus Costa Rica. Costa Rica need to win this one, I think, in all intents and purposes, or at least get something out of this game. Mexico are playing at home. Like we talked about, Mexico continue to find a way, similar to the teams that are all at the top, like not necessarily playing fantastically,
right,
but knowing that you've got to find a way to get points. How do you see this one shaping up, this game? Obviously, again, Mexico are at home. Costa Rica coming off of a huge win against Panama. Many people who thought they were kind of out just because if you looked at their roster, you looked at your team, they weren't scoring many goals, but now they're on zeros in terms of goal difference against the Mexico side that finds ways to score goals even if it's late.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one for Costa Rica. I'll start with them. They only had 37% possession against Panama at home in a game that they needed to win. And maybe it was just so overwhelming, the pressure. They didn't want to take any risks and became very, very conservative. Right. And they got that one goal that they needed due to, thanks to Brian Ruiz. So I could see them probably setting up in a similar way. It seems like they're very comfortable in that type of formation, that they'll take their stabs, right? They'll maybe commit a number or two extra at times, a couple times a half. And those they do a very good job of turning some half chances into some very good looks on goal. Mexico did beat them in Costa Rica earlier, 1-0. I think Mexico has a pretty good handle on them, all things considered. And this is a big one for Mexico. But given that momentum they're going to have, I think, coming out of that Jamaica game where they were up a man and they gave up the first goal and they get two late ones. I thought Tecatito coming on as a super sub made a big difference for them. He's a bit of a spark, so I expect Tecatito to start this one. Chucky Lozano comes back into the team, so automatically they're a little bit more dynamic. Now, they are going to miss Raul Jimenez. That's unfortunate because Funes Mori, for me, just doesn't provide enough for them.
You go with Henry Martin? He's the one that's scoring these goals.
He is. I think Henry Martin might be the guy you want to start, but there is something about him, and we know this with players all over the world, that some coaches just like you as a super sub. And he's got really strong super sub vibes. And when he comes on, he does make a difference. So
what about Diego Lainez?
Diego Lainez, he comes on. I think he's played 52 La Liga games and he's never scored. So he does provide a little bit something different. He was also a super sub in this one. I don't know if you start him though. I think Tecatito starts, Chucky Lozano starts. Now it's just a matter, do you start Martin or do you go with Funes Mori for about 60 and then you bring on Martin? Either way, these are all these guys are going to cause a lot of problems for Costa Rica and their back line. As much as I appreciate what they bring to the table with Kendall Waston and Francisco Calva, who just signed for the Quakes, you know, I think that this Mexican back line, it has the diversity in attack and in ideas to hurt you in a couple different ways. And then you have the Antunas and you have the Alexis Vega, who scored the game winner against Jamaica, who can come off the bench and give you also a different look. It's like they have almost similar to us. We have a couple lines of players that we can use now that can kind of hurt teams in different ways. And that's a great place to be in. For me, Mexico, though, they might just have to up the tempo against a team like Costa Rica, where they like to control it. And teams I don't think are as it's almost like, I don't know if the modern game's gone this way, but a team like Costa Rica, who gave a good deal of possession to Panama, just aren't troubled by the possession anymore. They don't get as frustrated. I don't know what it is, but I think Costa Rica, that plays into their style a little bit. So, okay, fine, Mexico, you can have 70% possession, but we're going to try to win the game regardless. So I'm kind of curious to see where they set up their back line, and this is Costa Rica. And then obviously they don't want to leave themselves vulnerable. I think Mexico match up really well because Brian Ruiz has not a lot of speed, I would say, for Costa Rica and their danger guys. Whereas when I don't think Mexico matches up well against Canada at all, because they just have these guys that can hurt you with their speed and their pace. And also they're looking to spring those guys in a really smart and intelligent way. And Canada's been very good at executing. But in this particular game, I think Mexico should do the business. And honestly, if they can't win this game, which gets them one step closer, maybe Tata Martino isn't the right coach for them. I don't know. It's interesting. I know a lot of Mexican fans want him out.
Yeah. And Jimmy, by the way, we were talking about in our recap of how does this finish out? And our producer Des just reminded us that Mexico played 4 of their last 5 games at the Azteca. So they are teed up very, very well,
very nicely
to sort of capitalize on the scheduling so far if they can get a result in this one. Let's move on to Jamaica versus or Panama versus Jamaica. Panama playing at home in this one. Panama, obviously, like we mentioned, getting that tough loss against Costa Rica, but still very much in the hunt to qualify or at least reach that 4th position. Panama right now on 14 points. They'll play against this Jamaica side who are on 7 points ahead. Jamaica's last chance is this game. And I know we say that a lot, but this is their last chance. They've got to win this one. And it's been weird with Jamaica just because they've been very close for all of qualifying, right? They've been in matches, they've been in headed matches, and then they just seem to fall apart. And then we had the addition of players with they didn't have their best team because of COVID restrictions and things like that. And now we get them together and then they get a red card and they can't help themselves. And it just seems like they're just on the verge of something. Do you think they are able to pull it together for this on paper? Do you think they're able to, or do you think Panama run away with this one at home?
Well, Panama did take advantage of a weakened Jamaica side, or actually Mikel Antonio, I think, was back for this game, or their England-based players were there when Jamaica hosted their first game in Kingston in the World Cup qualifying window. Panama beat them 3-0, and they look terrible. We're not going to see that same version of Jamaica. Their interim manager, Paul Hall, is going to have them in a better place. They're going to feel a little hard done by the red card. I assume they probably didn't think it was a red card. I've seen some tackles, in CONCACAF, all over CONCACAF. They're just like, come on, that's maybe a yellow, So I can understand why they might be up in arms about that. But VAR definitely worked against them. Panama, though, at home, a first game of this window or overall this whole qualifying phase, 0-0 to Costa Rica. Then they tied with Mexico. They were up 1-0. Mexico scored late to make that 1-1. Then they beat us 1-0. And then they beat El Salvador 2-1 at home. So undefeated at home right now. Panama has to know what's at stake. They have to know that if we win this game, we are so much closer to qualifying for World Cup, and also knowing that Costa Rica have a really tough test in Mexico. So if they get the result that I think we all can see that Mexico will win, that just puts even more pressure on Panama to get all 3 points against Jamaica and really put this whole thing to bed. So these two games are really pivotal in terms of who's going to finish in that fourth spot. And I think the Panama are going to have enough. I like what they're about, and they have some players. And they were a little unlucky not to get a result against Costa Rica last night. They hit the crossbar in the 92nd minute. They created more chances. They had more possession. They've got a sneakily pretty good team, and I like what they put together.
Well, just to recap real quick, Mexico versus Costa Rica, you've got Mexico winning that one?
I do.
You've got Panama beating Jamaica?
I do. I think it's going to be a fight because I think Jamaica's they're there. This is it. This is their last breath before their World Cup hopes are over.
And before we move on to the Honduras El Salvador one, which has less implications, you said something interesting, and you talked about them distancing themselves from Costa Rica. Do you think Panama's mindset is let's distance from Costa Rica and then deal with the rest? Or do you think Panama is legitimately going for a top three? I mean, of course they're going for a top three, but are they saying, hey, good is good right now, but we can focus on going good to great if we can just give ourselves a little bit more of a cushion and know that, okay, if we can win 2 of our last 3, we might jump into that top 3 finish? Yeah,
I think, well, if I was their coach, I would try to keep the focus as one game at a time as possible. I know I think every coach in CONCACAF has said that so far.
You don't play it like a youth soccer coach in a tournament to me, where you're looking at all these other factors.
I think that your players are probably looking ahead too. Hey, if we can just win this game, that sets us up to just get results here. I don't think Panama's going to lose this, but if they got a draw, I wouldn't be surprised. And then it puts a lot of pressure on Costa Rica to try to match that result. To try to hang. 1 point is still 1 point. And if Costa Rica loses, you now created a 3-point gap. And if they get a draw against Jamaica, it'd be 15 points to 12. Yeah. So, and then Jamaica would be on 8. So they'd pretty much be eliminated at that point. And then, you got to try to scrape to get some results somewhere else. It's going to be a dogfight for that 4th spot. And if they can get on a run and play well, if they beat Jamaica, who does Panama play after Jamaica? After they play Jamaica, they play in Mexico. So that's a very difficult. It's almost like if I was the coach, I'd be like, I don't have any expectations of getting a result at Azteca. Like, that's just an impossible place to play.
Yeah.
But this one at home against Jamaica, who are a little bit vulnerable, still looking for that identity, just fired their coach, unluckily lost to, I don't know if unluckily is a word, but I just made it up. And we're unlucky to lose to Mexico, so they're feeling a little hard done by. You got to punch them in the face right now. If they score first, I think they go on to win the game. But you can't sleep on this Jamaican team. So it's tough. It's tough. And then they have Honduras at home. Honduras is out. So they're going to probably get 3 points there. And then they play us away. And then they play at home to Canada. Again, they're very good at home. And I expect them to at least get a draw against the big teams and beat the other ones. And Jamaica falls into that, beat the other ones. And if they do that, then not only will they be scraping or definitely getting 4th, but I think they'll be scraping to, nip the heels of whoever's in 3rd.
That's wild. You know, I'm
It's
looking,
crazy,
I'm
dude.
looking at it, dude.
There are
19
no
points for
easy
Canada,
games.
18 US, Mexico
know.
17, Panama 14, Costa Rica 12. Like that is legitimately 5 teams looking for 4 spots and all still wide open. You know, I mean, that is crazy. 19, 18, 17, 14 is just too close for comfort right now.